So Fire Emblem Echoes recently came out on the 3DS, and pretty much all my free time has been going into the new Fire Emblem game. After being disappointed with Fire Emblem Fates, I'm a bit hopeful for this title. Will Echoes be a disappointment as well, or does it excel? This is probably the shortest intro I've ever written. So Fire Emblem is a remake of Fire Emblem Gaiden, although that isn't much of a secret, which was originally released on the Famicom. Even with being a remake, Echoes is very faithful to the source material. This means going back to basics, which means the removal of some features that we've grown accustomed to over the years, such as the weapon triangle. Going back to my video on Echoes, I was hoping that Echoes would have the updated gameplay of current Fire Emblem games, but to my surprise I don't mind the way Echoes is. Well yes, you can't gain the advantage over enemies with the weapon triangle, but the one thing I noticed with Echoes was the use of terrain. Forest spaces and other things of the sort can pretty much give you high evasion boosts, along with magic negating evasion bonuses that was given from terrain. More than ever does placement matter, along with placements of what units. I've also noticed that early maps of the game offer ways for your units to use the terrain to your advantage, while the later maps have the terrain work against you. I do like this progression of difficulty, but I must be honest, some of these maps designed to work against you come off as more annoying than hard. Let's not forget about the desert and swamp maps. Even without a weapon triangle, different weapons still have an important role in the battlefield by a new feature added in this game. When a character uses a weapon, they gain experience for that weapon, and every time a character gains enough experience for a weapon, they unlock a skill that they can use for that weapon. These skills can be as simple as swapping places with another character, or something more offensive like Hunter Volley. Along with being able to use skills, weapons can also be forged for increased stats, or even upgrading the weapon into a new weapon. But just like in Gaiden, characters can only hold one item at a time, including weapons. Other than weapons, characters can hold on to shields, rings, or healing items. Since characters are only allowed to carry one item, it comes down to what item you think this character needs most, such as giving your cleric an orange to heal themselves, since magic works a bit differently in this game. Magic now works very similar to how magic would work in a standard JRPG. Magic now has a cost to use, new spells are gained through level ups, and characters learn certain spells, sometimes at earlier levels. Magic having a cost may sound a bit odd, seeing how there isn't mana or anything of the sort in Fire Emblem games. So what's the cost of using magic? The cost of magic will be your own health. Casting magic requires you to give up HP in order to cast, with more powerful spells costing more HP. Because of this, you must consider when is the right time for each spell, since relying too much on powerful spells can leave your character too weak to endure hits. A lot of these add a lot of depth to what seems to be a more simplified Fire Emblem game, and the game will make sure that you take advantage of these since the game is a bit difficult. So that probably means a lot more resetting, or so one would think. There's this new thing in Echoes, and this new thing just might be the best thing to ever grace a Fire Emblem game. Mila's Turn Wheel. It's a pretty simple thing to use. Screw up on a map and need to redo a move? No problem, with Mila's Turn Wheel you can just rewind everything back to what happened on a map to your desired point. It saves so much time, since I can just go back and correct a mistake, rather than resetting the whole map and doing it all over again. However, you can only do it a certain amount of times on a given map, so you can't just rewind every time something doesn't go your way. I really love this feature, and I'd be really happy to see this in future Fire Emblem games. Of course, if the game is still giving you trouble, you can always go into dungeons and grind. Compared to the dungeons in Gaiden, the dungeons in Echoes are heavily improved on, with dungeons actually being dungeons, rather than just being a box room. While exploring dungeons, you can fight enemies and find treasure. You can also find shrines within the dungeon that allow you to promote units, along with fountains that raise stats. There's also the system where units can get tired if they fight too much inside a dungeon, but it pretty much never occurred until the final dungeons. But at that point I just had food that I can just give to my tired units, and it pretty much solves the problem, especially since I have a lot of food at that point in the game, so I never really found fatigue to be much of an issue. But it also makes me wonder why it's even in the game in the first place if it's pretty much non-existent. Overall, the dungeons are a nice distraction from the main story. Or I guess stories, since the story follows two different armies throughout the game. I really enjoyed the story for Alm's Conquest. It was a bit predictable at times, but it's really the presentation of the story that really makes it shine. As for Celica's story, I really didn't like it all that much, since it's pretty much her being stupid. I would like to go more into detail about that, but I really don't want to talk about the story since it just came out. Speaking of characters, I should point out that support conversations have been added to this game. It doesn't have the marriage system, which I'm honestly kind of glad that's not there, especially since pairing of certain characters are already set in stone. These new supports give these older characters a bit more depth to them. While these new supports are nice to have, there really aren't that many supports. I'm not asking for Echoes to have as many support conversations as Awakening or Fates, but I do wish that every character could at least have a support with two different characters. Although I feel this is more of a nitpick than anything. Overall, I like the game mechanics that hold a good amount of depth, while still being pretty easy to follow. The maps are mostly good, but there are a few duds that haven't stood well to the test of time. The story stays simple, but allows itself to be fleshed out. along with me questioning Celica a lot. It's a remake that really expands on the original game that's based on. I'm going to be completely honest about this game. I really like this game. It's really enjoyable to play and it's been eating up all my free time. It hits a lot of the right notes with me of how the game plays, and unlike most Fire Emblem games, I never rage quit over tiny mistakes or getting screwed over by RNG, since I can just rewind time and do everything all over again. It really keeps me going throughout the game. It also makes going through the game a lot faster, and even when I got to the end, I just wanted more, and with a heavy consideration to start a new save file, so I can go through the game all over again. And with it being a Fire Emblem game, I can try different strategies and get better at each map. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Fire Emblem game, but it's most certainly the one I enjoyed most on the 3DS. As its own thing, Fire Emblem Echoes is quite a treat that leaves me wanting more. This game is a must-play if you're a 3DS owner. What about you? Did you play Fire Emblem Echoes yet, or possibly planning on getting it? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section. I hope that you all have a good day and enjoy the game. There seems to be some kind of tear in the fabric of space or something here. But what could be causing this distortion? Now that I think about it, looking into this tear, I think I can see the source of this. Oh, it's that game. I guess now would be a good time to talk about this game.